So, looks like I finally got my hands on the demo for Resident Evil 6. Though, that whole bullcrap that Capcom pulled about, if you buy Dragon's Dogma, you can demo Resident Evil 6, was frustrating. Because of course, I bought that game for the demo, and then to find out you couldn't even test the damn demo till September 4th. And for some reason, the people who bought it for Xbox, they got to play it even a month before that, and guess what dumbass bought Dogma for PlayStation 3? Yeah, that'd be me. But I still got a taste of it before the worldwide release of the demo, and I thought I would share my thoughts. So forgive me if I get a bit scatterbrained, because there is so much to cover and talk about if you ask me, but let's just jump into this. First of all, the demo consists of 3 separate campaign demos, which each can be run through in about 20 minutes each. As I talk about these demos, I'll cover some spoilers, so be forewarned now that you might not want to listen. But anyways, the 3 campaigns, they follow either Leon and Helena, Jake and Sherry Birkin, or Chris and Pierre's? I guess that's his name? I don't know. Anyways, I started with Jake and Sherry's, which basically consisted of running from what we shall codename Wannabe Nemesis, only because clearly he is a take on Nemesis, a new take. But there isn't much plot discussed here, let alone from the fact that Sherry and Jake are working together, and of course the obvious thing that is discussed in the trailers, that Jake is Albert Wesker's son. Jake is real heavy on melee. It's a completely different feel than most Resident Evil games because you honestly can rush any character and just beat the S out of them using your fists. You start to see as you play that each campaign, that each one is tailored to a specific player. With Jake, it's high action and up-close fights. With Chris, it's very much Resident Evil 5 action shooter based. And with Leon, it's back to the roots of creepy-ass hallways and slowed-down dark atmospheres. When you play as Chris, we learn that he is now an asshole.
Fill her up.
You've had enough.
Listen, sweetheart. You're here to pour drinks and look pretty. So how about you shut your mouth?
Though as you continue on, you realize he has no memory of anything, and BSAA is trying to get him back on his feet. From there, you just do some run and gun sections. And then last but not least, of course, I saved Leon for last. We find Leon killing the President Evil. Funny, right? No, probably not. And he's teamed up with a mysterious character named Helena, who claims it's her fault.
It's all my fault.
And that she can get Leon a lead on what happened. She does seem to sound a lot like Angela Miller.
Leon did what he had to.
Couldn't we afford a different voice actor, Capcom? It's not like you're paying for Leon's old voice actor. Sad face. But then, from there you go and you get to creep around a scary-ass dark college. Let's talk about the issues in gameplay. Capcom made it very clear that they wanted to take on big games like COD with this title, which really explains why almost 2/3 of this game is heavy on shooting. Even the release date got changed to an earlier date to be out before COD. And surely Capcom wants to make bank before being raped by the heartless COD machine, but the thing is, we know that Capcom will make big money off of re-releasing this game 5 more times on different consoles with console-specific DLC. We should all know how Capcom works by now, so why bother trying to change an identity to compete with COD is beyond me. I think Resident Evil has jumped into this whole identity crisis thing recently. I even feel heavy Gears and Uncharted influenced moments, but let's move on past that, because if it works, why complain? I noticed with Jake's character that they are trying hard to make action-packed playable scenes, much like we saw demoed at E3 with Leon in the helicopter. That's what I like to call Uncharted cutscenes. But the thing is, and this may just be a demo issue, you play very small sections of the cutscene, and then it makes you watch. Then it throws you back into play, but you have no idea that you should be playing. As I was running from a wannabe Nemesis, this kept happening. You would run for like 2 seconds and then the game took control. So you watched, but randomly with no heads up, it wanted you to play. And you normally realize this when it was too late and you died. Really, the game should have found a way to make it all one playable cutscene, or just not even bother. That may be a minor issue, but it really annoyed me. Not to mention it felt real out of place in a Resident Evil game. And though I guess that's where it's trying to take on other games and form new identities between the different campaigns, I just felt we should have had control the whole time through. Of course, there is the new additions in gameplay, such as the ability to melee any enemy at any point. You no longer have to shoot an enemy in the knee just to get an on-screen prompt to melee, which I think is a great idea. We can also walk and shoot, though Revelations and Operation Raccoon City allowed this. This is the first game in the main series to allow it, and I will admit it feels a lot better. The inventory D-pad system is still a thing, but Now, just by moving the D-pad to an item, it will automatically select it, instead of making you stand still and manually select items. There is a new quick heal ability. By just hitting a trigger, you can heal your character by swallowing pills. I'm not sure if there's a set amount of inventory on this, but I never seem to run out. You can still collect herbs and so forth for larger heals, but I just took the pills. If you are downed, your AI partner can also heal you, much like Sheva could in Resident Evil 5. The last main mechanic they added is the ability to slide and move around on the ground. At times you may get knocked down, and when this happens, you can choose to stay on the ground and shoot, or you can get up. Now if you choose to stay on the ground, you can roll around or out of the way if you are about to be attacked. At first it did feel a bit gimmicky, but when you start to feel outnumbered with Chris, it makes a hell of a lot of sense, and it works great. There's always also a on-screen display always showing you where to go, and when you click one of the triggers, it will give you a GPS-like signal showing you where to go exactly. I never felt lost in this game, but if areas do open up a bit more, I can see where this would be useful like it was in Dead Space. Leon did have a flashlight on his head now, instead of his hip. When aiming, this is smart, but when walking, Leon has a tendency to look around on his own, which causes the light to move in the direction he is looking instead of where you are walking. Didn't make much sense. I also noticed Leon could dual wield. I'm not sure how deep this will go and if it will have a lasting effect outside of pouring bullets faster, but ammo does seem to run out easily, so I'm not sure if that's a good thing to have. It is nice to see Capcom going back to the roots on this though. Leon's campaign towards the end really made you realize you needed to juggle your ammo better. So learning when to attack with hands, or shoot, or just run clearly seems to be a presence that they brought back, which is well welcomed, if you ask me. I don't play Resident Evil to play Gears of War, Capcom. Now I do have my issues, and I will keep in mind this is just a demo, so this may not stay this way when the game launches. First of all, there is no pause button. Now I know this is due to the fact that the whole demo can be played online with a buddy, but I hope if you choose to play alone in the actual game, that they allow you to pause the game. I found that a bit frustrating when I had to get up to take a piss, so we'll see what happens there. Though some of you may take from that, hey, it's co-op online, so I guess that's nice too. If you start with Leon, you are walking down creepy hallways. The camera is pulled in close, and you are stuck looking over his shoulder, much like we did with Resident Evil 4 or Resident Evil 5. Now this works great with Leon because you don't need to see much but what's in front of you, and nothing seems to move fast out of your sights, but the camera stays the same way with Chris and Jake. Not to mention, Chris is this huge tank character, so most of the screen is taken up. There should be an option to pull this camera back because you can hardly see ahead of you or to your side. There is an option to switch which side you want your player on, but for the most part he stays about dead in the center of the screen no matter where you move him. The other issue that adds to that is the characters, mainly Chris and Jake. They feel floaty. Movements cause the characters to quickly jitter around or move too quickly, and there is no in-between. I had issues at times trying to line up with an enemy to melee him, or climb up a ladder, or just open a damn crate. It just made the controls feel real loose at times. There were times where I would aim, and my gun would be aimed where I wanted it, but then it would just jump to a new location, almost like aim assist would do, except it didn't assist me in shooting enemies, it just shot the sky. Between that and the camera being too focused on the character, it really took away from the more action-paced moments in the game. Now don't get me wrong, it worked great with Leon, but with Chris and Jake, it just felt off. In Leon's parts, the game kept forcing you to walk slow, which is fine, especially when you see that they're trying to go back to the roots. My issue, though, laid in the fact that at random times Leon could run, and it would keep switching back and forth between the two. Now what sucks is you knew when you slowed down that the game was going to try and scare you, make a vent fall, make a zombie pop out. It felt forced, and when you had to slow down and the camera pulled in tight, it just took away that fear because you knew to expect it. Now the enemy types are very familiar with Resident Evil 5. You still have the mutating BOWs and the AI that can shoot guns and are to some degree tactical. Though with Leon, the zombies are back, which is very exciting. They're slow and stupid until they smell blood or get close. It's the way it should be. The zombies, I noticed, would lose body parts. You could shoot an enemy carrying a gun in the hand, and he would drop the gun. You could pop heads off. You could shoot them in the gut to expose their rib cage, and so forth. We saw this in some of the older RE4 and RE5, but not really the whole body parts falling off. Really, I can't say I'm impressed, mainly with Chris or Jake's campaign. I'm still excited, and I think it'll definitely top the very mediocre Resident Evil 5, but to make each campaign work great alone, they've really got to focus a bit more on the finer details to each campaign. Chris needs a pulled back camera. The controls need to be tighter for Chris and Jake. Maybe you will just adapt to it, but it just feels weird off the top for the first playthrough. I'm excited to see the return of Leon, zombies, and the feel of survival horror. Leon's section did set the tone right. The footsteps from yourself in the AI, the quiet, dark atmospheres that brought your movements and others to life. I'm excited to see this expanded on, because I grew up on that type of Resident Evil, and I get that RE has evolved and needs to evolve to keep up with the first-person shooters of our generation, and I will appreciate those sections of the game if they are refined. I just don't want to see Resident Evil lose its survival horror roots. Also, when did Leon get so scared of a little thunder? Well, that's my thoughts, and really it's just a demo, so none of these things may be an issue at launch, but I just wanted to share and show you guys the gameplay, and hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you guys soon. Goodbye.
Trevor Clark has had his say to help you find good games to play. Game reviews, tattoos, and news. Pawning noobs you'll never lose with Trevor.